Greetings, my name's Philip Daniel Miles, and I am really pleased to be here sharing space with fantastic, renowned channeler, Ivan Teller. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, greetings. Thank you for having me on.
Wow,
Blessings.
it's an honor. Like, I really enjoyed our last couple of conversations, and I've been watching your work. You always seem to go live when I'm just settling down in my evening. It's just like, this is going to get me thinking. This is going to get me pondering.
Yeah, it's around like 11 about 11 o'clock, 11, usually 11:30 Eastern. Usually I've been doing it recently. So, yeah,
It's
I
really
answer
good.
questions. I answer questions for people and then I get my energy back, take a break and then I do the live video. So,
Well, I love how that you managed to tune into energies from timelines or
mm,
in the not too distant future, and really anchor in a lot more of the perception of how this reality works, just from thinking of the mechanism of how this is being told or being demonstrated. That's why I
mm,
love your work so much, because it allows me to get a good reference point of what we are as spiritual beings in the third density.
yeah, it's the idea is yeah, bringing the unknown, the unseen here to our reality. Bringing the aliens, you can say. I mean, I can feel that they can come in at any time, but majority isn't ready for it. But you never know.
So,
anything's possible.
So would you
So
say that we are the media, we're the technology for bringing in
yes,
this
yeah,
intelligence?
yeah.
This is
You
something
just
which, go
correct.
on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You go by what is your purpose? Yeah. What is your I keep going into the elites every once in a while. I'm not looking for it. It just show up. It's like, channeling, alien beings, the elite get brought up a lot. I guess for people to understand it more, it's like you are the elite people. That you have your own abilities too. You don't have to be afraid of them and all that, that type of thing. So
So when we see things like certain countries under what you can consider house arrest or martial law, it's actually just because we are so obedient that we're not recognizing that there is no power over us, and we can just assume, like, just basically show up for ourselves and accept our own power, and then we kind of qualify from the university. This is like a big initiation test.
yeah, but yeah, it's taking it's another part of disclosure. You say it's has its negative, that has its positives along with it. It is clearing out old industries, you can say, which is really difficult, but that was going to happen anyway. So
I was
it's
watching one of
fine.
your videos the other day. I don't know what connection or entity that we were streaming through, but you mentioned about how eventually we will likely see on that timeline the fall of corporations, like dead corporations like of Walmart, because this is all what's propping the system up is these corporations which don't have humanity's best interest in for us.
Yeah, eventually we have some time for, well, yeah, like the brick and mortars are slowly going away, at least the major ones. More invention will happen over time. So yeah, it's yeah, like Walmart, at least in our area. Seeing that go away is going to be very bizarre for a lot of people. But we've seen big companies come and go before. So, but yeah, I felt the end of Walmart somewhere in the timeline. So anything's possible.
Yeah, well, astrologically, we think of Saturn as the master builder, and it takes 28 years or thereabouts to do a cycle. And so, when you have your Saturn return, like a corporation has a Saturn return, it can be quite a thing for it, and maybe we can see that. Certainly, with actually the United States having their Pluto return right now. It's like their first Pluto birthday, and this always brings the death of what doesn't work for the company. I just said company because obviously I'm streaming that, but also like a renewal of it in some manner, which has got a greater capacity to what it was before.
Yeah. Well, we are going. a lot of things are going more online. Yeah, there's a controversy towards that, but people, even small businesses, I imagine, also are adapting that to some degree. But it's just shifting out. Like the old malls don't exactly have the best energy, at least in the United States. Not exactly the best. Like even in Europe, Europe is like a gar. Some areas in Europe are like a Gartha cities. I mean, they really look Agarthian. They just do. They just Britain even has kind of a gothic version of it, but in the United States, it's kind of like we're for new energy. Yeah, we're kind of going in that direction slowly, but eventually.
So you could say that we through the Kali Yuga, these places just lost their frequency just as much as
Yeah,
we lost our knowing.
yeah,
So
I believe that. Yeah,
we're somewhere between the transcendental lands like Lemuria and Agartha and Shambhala. And actually, so that's one polarity, and the other polarity would be the barren lands that are Mars. And so Earth at this state is somewhere in the middle of those two different poles, you could suggest.
yeah, it's possible. It's like more of the metaphysical, shops, stones, and all. If that, I do feel a timeline as we're talking of that becoming more. Those are the news. That'd be interesting to see if that's a new, city centers. And then they're slowly coming about little by little. I mean, Atlantis and all Lemuria have to come back. They're coming back right now through people. But yeah, until the physical, that's another way to do it through commerce.
Yes,
So,
there's so many people who are interested, who have gone through a lot of their spiritual cleansing. Obviously, there's a continual work, but they're looking, and the people who come through the crypto world, they're looking to reinvest in the eco villages and
yeah,
sustainable holistic therapies.
yeah,
This is really
yeah,
promising.
yeah. It's small now, but like spas, anything to do with health, that would become more of the norm, which would be stressful. Where you don't have to go to work 8 hours a day, or just people more relaxed. When people become more relaxed, you connect it better, and you're just a different person altogether. So yeah,
That's it. And this
yeah,
is like in like the yogic pranic pose, we go like this because it brings us into 360 when you're in harmonics like that, right?
exactly correct. And it's like I was listening to Elon Musk, because he works like 120 hours a day or something. But I did a channeling I'll make public eventually, but um, like he's more of a 3D person too. I mean, he might be working spiritually, but he's still a product of the physical. So when you ask him about aliens, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see one physically. So, but he's there. He's a product of the physical. He's bringing in all these fourth-dimensional knowledge, electric cars and all of that. But when you talk to him as a person, it's more of you're talking to a physical person, basically. Spiritual stuff isn't there. So
So you could say like we've got elements such as fire, water, earth,
mhm.
and air, and there's even also like ether, which is a spiritual influence, like the spirit that which we are, of because we're of many things, but also technology, which you could say we are also, and this is another bandwidth, if you will, and yet we can channel both, and we can create through a technological stream, and we can create through an ethereal spiritual one. But it's in a sense the frequency of it which creates the matter around it.
Yeah, it's just like I said, anytime recently I've been for people, it's just tell them to relax their mind for relaxing the mind and you got to tell your mind to relax because the mind is always the one that's always 100 miles an hour. So especially when you're trying to sleep, but if we come more to a relaxed reality, yeah, more of the fourth dimensional come through definitely.
So last time we spoke about Star Trek, and we you channeled Gene Roddenberry, and so if we treat our minds just how Jean-Luc Picard or I forget the other captain, Kirk, that's his name,
Right.
how they would speak to the Enterprise. Like, so if you're in bed at night, it's like you got to say, calm down, or that'll do, pig, that'll do. You don't want to
That,
speak to it like that.
that's all. Yeah, Star Trek is interesting because looking at it, it's like these guys are far from fourth dimensional thinking. It's like it's just not there. I mean, you have the empath on next, right? But that's like one empath. Everybody else is just like how we are. So it's pretty funny.
Got
But
the
it's
empath, that one female doctor
yeah,
in the
yeah,
next generation.
yeah. She's the therapist for everybody. So everybody's an empath, and it's just funny how it's not really right because when you connect to the fourth dimension, you talk people are talking to their ship. I mean, they technically are talking to it, but this is more like it's like a living thing when you do this type of work, at least. So
It's interesting. I heard the 8 main characters were the 8 archetypal planets as well, which is an interesting thing.
didn't know about that. Makes sense.
Well, I'm excited, and I've asked you if we can go into trance today and channel Ian Fleming,
Sure.
which is the creator of James Bond, and we'll talk about him in just a moment. But I wanted to ask you one question before we do that, and that is: so we in channeling in general, have you ever gone into trance and then come back out and reviewed what you've said, and it's altered one of your own belief systems, especially maybe in the earlier days, like how you would conceive of reality or how you perceived of your existence, and what maybe a belief system or philosophy that you had? Did anything ever change for you?
Yeah, it's expanded it. Um, I'm not sure before I've had a viewpoint of anything. What do you think about it? I mean, like of humanity. I mean, yeah, it just helps. It gives more clarity on everything. So yeah, it like calms your energy down because there's something here that doesn't make any sense. You have the questions with no answers, so you feel frustrated. And when you channel, it doesn't answer everything, but it does help. It does help clear out, bring some clarity to why the world is the way it is. Why do like? Yeah, because I see like people go to a bar and stuff, and it's like you're depends on where you go. In my area, it's like high school again. It's like come on, it's like these are adults acting like it's like come on, it's like it's like a playpen for adults. It's like there's nowhere to go and talk to anybody really. So doing the
Yeah,
channeling, I mean, usually when I could get out there, I was even before I started channeling, I was saying things I probably should not be saying publicly. I was like challenging challenging reality even then. So even if I didn't know what I was talking about. So
yeah. Well, sometimes like it's the odd sowing of a seed, which can be a real knight, like a white knight. You can be even if you're planting, bringing people to awarenesses that they already knew. It's just and that might start them.
right.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just gives you more clarity and it just you don't have all the answers, but you know that there's more to life than what's here. So yeah, I've opened up. Obviously I don't have all just I guess through channeling I feel a little bit better. Now I'm just waiting for more to show up. You can say more, Akashic record, but it'll come when it's needed. So
Have you ever considered actually that this YouTube experience, which we are growing and learning through as content creators, which also allows us to practice our crafts, do you ever feel like actually it's a training wheel experience, a bit like how we progress on to like working with people who are in organizations of society, a bit like politics, or a bit like how the astrologers would work for the royals back in the day? Do you feel that there's big things in store for people like you and I, Ivan?
oh yeah, I mean, I think even you would probably agree. Like doing more of this physically, like around people, would probably be more fulfilling. But you can't always connect to people physically, even of course without the current climate. But yeah, it helps you reach more people. So and that yeah, it is a test. Yeah, we're learning and knock on wood, so don't say anything to get yourself kicked off. But so far they're not going for alien people, which is good. Keep it that way. So
One of the things I've felt like with the energies at the moment is that we're being a bit like how you get a bit of string with a kitten and you kind of coax it along, like play with it so the cat kind of chases it. In the same way with the energies and where they are, we're being asked to trust in the non-manifest. We're being asked to trust in the invisible, and we're practicing building that muscle of self.
yeah, you're correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's it's not always gonna have all the answers, but it's not necessarily supposed to. Just trusting yourself, which is huge. Is huge. Diving into yourself is there's so many layers, and not always. I guess you can say you're not always meant to see everything within yourself at certain times either. Just trusting the universe, as you probably heard. That's a strong energy there. So yeah, the non-physical is because I mean I get like if I'm relaxing, for once, I get a spirit like from a positive spirit. They give me like an energy shock every once in a while, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. But I know where it's coming from. They're just getting my. It's another way of like you're on your right path, Instead of seeing 333 and stuff, I just get like a zap.
Like an
every once
electric
in a while.
jolt.
Yeah, every once in a while that happens. Yeah, sometimes I move my arm or something like that. I know it's not bad. It's just them talking to me. So yeah.
Yeah, sometimes one of some of the biggest synchronistic confirmations I get is like writing a message like to somebody, or which is like I might even think, is this the right thing to be doing? And
Yeah.
then the video, I might be listening to you a video on YouTube, and you'll say the exact same word that I'm typing.
Interesting.
Things like that.
Well, yeah. Before I do a video, I just clear my mind and just people give me requests for certain things. Like, yeah, I usually just let it flow organically. You probably do the same thing. Just keep it organic. Just who knows what it's gonna be.
Yeah, it does startle the stream as well when we get caught out of it, because I was just thinking, oh right, we're going to talk about Ian Fleming or go through that stream because I've got a particular question in a moment which can line up. But I was looking, oh, maybe we can pull up Ian Fleming's birth chart. But because, so then I got distracted from the moment of the stream of our interaction, which is like pretty sweet. We've got it going on. But then I was trying to look for it. I was like, and then it kind of knocked me off course a little bit. And so you've got to tune back into the flow, haven't you?
Yeah.
I couldn't find it.
Well, maybe for next or added to this during editing or something.
Yes. I think he's born in the 1930s, or maybe it was actually at the end of the 1800s. But I've just found out some information last year about him, which is really interesting. He's not just the writer of the James Bond movies. He's more like the James Bond himself, and yet he would be the person who would control the whole media, which is more powerful than corporations, it's more powerful than the royals. So basically, he was, in a sense, like the evil villain in some of the James Bond movies, the hidden hand, you could say.
Well, there's elitist. The movie Spectre that was just out felt very Illuminati-esque, dark room, and all these shadow people around a table. It's like, is that elite or what? And the octopus is Orion, who is connected to Orion. So who knows? Yeah, there's a lot of elite. Yeah, they had I was watching James Bond a while back. I did a video on it of I forget, there was a doctor, I forget what it was, but they had the moon landing like it was being staged. It was in a Sean Connery. We just kind of he just showed up on it, and set. Anyway,
they back up all of their BS with the movies of the time, don't they?
Yeah. I think he was playing golf on the moon or something, and like a cut scene or something like that. So yeah,
like Moonraker or something like this.
Yeah, something like that. I think it was Sean Connery. I think it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So,
cool. Well, I'm intrigued to see what we can find out in comparison to the media operative, what was going on back then, until we can consider the kind of things which are going on now. I think that's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, we can do that. Sure. Sounds good. I just want to put this out there. I feel like I should. So if we can do this, like physically, like with people, I know YouTube is great and everything, but you can actually do it without people, like with the stuff that you're doing too. You can have people you just, do your presentations in front of people, and like Vegas would be a good place, like a show, maybe not exactly a show, but not a show,
Where we can get, that would be so cool to be able to get like a traveling circuit, if you will.
Exactly.
where we can go and share with the audience and get them involved and make workshops as well. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
I think this is something that's actually within our timeline and within our capabilities, because they're going to open up travel to special causes. I feel like it's not so much traveling will be done for holidays anymore. It's for the advantageous and for those doing it with a cause, which is might be not everybody wants to hear, but when you look at the energies of the Great Conjunction and this new paradigm, it's actually based around this kind of higher etiquette or higher moral standards, and that's in service to healing the collective and all these types of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
All right. You want me to bring him in?
Yes.
Ian Fleming, or bring in? Okay. All right. Already sends his energy around. So, so okay. All right. Blessings. Here we go. Greetings to you. I am Ian Fleming. Greetings to your broadcast production. Yes, you are correct. I am much more than what. Yes, I am James Bond. I am the hero. I am the villain. I am the lover, but also I'm all characters. A fantasy, basically, my own fantasies, but it's also myself. Your current environment, your health environment, yeah, something that Dr. No would come up with. Just to let you know.
So this current state of affairs, this Orwellian state, where we are, in a sense, waiting for permission or an answer on what to do next, is contrived by a mad, evil genius.
Or geniuses in your world state, but yes.
But we're all geniuses.
That's true.
So this is what's being hidden from us.
Yes, there's many things hidden with. Yes, it's there's a complex plot here, but there's more to reveal. It's not just the health situation, but where you're going after when it's over. Well, it's never really over, but it will be over. You're seeing a lot of the tech titans speak their mind, even arrogantly sharing their idea systems of what people should do, stay home and do all these things. So they're showing their true colors. They don't even care anymore, as you can see.
So the thing is, it's never over in the sense that they're never going to stop doing what they're doing now, but it can be over once we learn how to maintain a frequency and walk away from them.
Yes, you are going into a time of healing these connections of, well, many humans need to live in the movie. Many of you are here to solve it, to heal the mysteries of it.
Yes. So we have this opportunity to maybe work within structures that have been corrupted, or these things that we cast aside entirely.
Yes, there's a lot of there are also a lot of female elites that are not making themselves known, that are telling the men what to do at this time, just to let you know. And those are usually the most clever, because they do keep themselves in such a shadow. So
Okay, so
yes.
there's so much infiltration within these governmental systems, and yet they're working beyond the flags. The flags are just a decoy, and these nations are just a decoy, and yet there's maybe just a small different selection of groups that are controlling this overall arcing story, which is just another veil, a brand new splinter in the consciousness of humanity.
Well, your elites, yes, are off world. Now, these are humans, they don't have to be extraterrestrial. They were given technologies, and where they are off world, they're not telling me where they are, at least not through this connection. But it is off world, though. And it's so simple, so easy. It's not Mars. That's getting too much light. It has to be somewhere where no one's paying attention. Of course, you're on a planet. It's not like you're leaving it, going around searching. Most of you aren't, at least. But Mars has too much attention. Mars is like the seed of next growth. There are places where your elites are, I wouldn't call it hiding, but where they're living a luxurious life at this time. But they see your world as a threat to them, because as you become more aware of yourselves, obviously, and you'll tap into their realms and realities that they don't want you to know about.
And yet that those realms and realities will be in comparison to a fly or on our back or water off the back of a duck. Once we learn the capacity for our own spiritual advancement, which is just a consideration away.
Well, yes, as they go more into the weeds, Egypt is where a lot of them went off world. Humans with alien beings went off world. Now, obviously, they've done it before that, but my connections is more of a Egyptian. So they've been off world. It's normal for them. For humans, obviously, you're taught to be a certain way. You have the gods coming down and part of the story. So they write your story somewhere else.
A bit like in the Truman Show, how he's
Correct.
He's in a porthole, isn't he? In the sky.
Yes, correct. Or yes, well, he's in a he's on a platform or something like that. Yes, very normal for the lead stuff.
So would you say that we can recognize that we're able to do our own adaptation of reality from our own porthole, from our own peephole, from our own position?
Yes, let your mind go free, as I did as a superhuman villain and hero. Look all I mean aspects I showed of myself. So people can do the same. I'm the hero, I'm the villain of my own story. And we can this is another form of healing. Of course, I still had problems healing myself, because I had addictions, drinking addictions. That was like the end of myself, actually. It's like I enjoyed myself in my mind through creativity, but my body was rejecting these vices, the drinking and all, smoking, things like that.
So yeah, I was going to say this must have been very healing for you to express so much of both sides of your polarity.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And yet a lot of us, we tend to be obedient. We tend to do what we're told is good and what we've been rewarded for. So there's suppression on a lot of our desires, tastes, and ambitions as well. So that's not very healthy, and that's what turns into dis-ease and a lack of acceptance.
So in your own minds, you can see yourself as a villain and go for that excitement of it. You don't have to be it physically, because that probably won't go so well. Maybe for a little while, but probably won't turn out the way you want it to do. But in your mind, you can let that play out and let the good guy come out also, and the lovers and the places that you go and traveling, and allow all that to unlock. And some people feel like at a high vibration, you have to be the good guy all the time. Not always. You can actually keep your vibration by knowing yourself, allowing the darkness to appear, but you're balancing it. You have good guy, you have the bad guy. So you're building your own internal balance. So like in the James Bond stories, the villain usually normally does not win. Sometimes they do, usually it's a female, but normally it does not win. So it's like an inner war.
And the good healthy thing about the villain is that the reason that they're so disliked is because they always seem to tell the truth.
Correct. And they always seem to live better than everyone too, normally. Their health isn't usually the best normally, or they have some kind of, well, the reason for the scratches and the scars was for you to identify who the bad guy is and make them unique, disformed, not to look at people that are going through their own difficulty, but it's just that these people that are psychotic kind of disformed, they have a disformed way of looking at things already. So for them to be disformed physically all connects, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. It's like it will manifest as the frequency, like cymatics.
Yes.
So when we were seeing that you were writing these novels and also controlling the narrative as the media operative for that modern day, for the tabloids. And the media is a mirror because people look for the answers. It's in a sense the goddess with a forked tongue. Medeus is this goddess which would always tell these double-edged truths, which were often misleading. And so, but yet you could say that you also would guide, like the analogy of the kitten and the string again as well, the certain influence that you would have. Can you express the how this was to have so much power, and how did you get into such a position?
Oh, through the such as the military power, is that what you're getting into, or just the creative power?
The creative power to be able
Creative
to say,
power.
right, we're going to plan a war, or we're going to plan a
Oh
terror
yes,
attack like 9/11, or
yes, I
currently a
see.
manipulation
Because
on this level.
the reason I ask is even in my physical form, all those things are being planned out by other people. I was seeing it, people trying to relive their fantasy. It's like it was unbelievable. So like I saw that within my to say, hey, look, I want to take over the world. Somebody needs to stop me. So I stopped myself, or the human consciousness there's to stop me. Or the hero that's kind of the villain. Even James Bond is a hero and he's a murderer, basically. He has his own issues. He has to go through therapy for all the people he killed, all the women he seduced. Somehow he avoids getting disease. There are versions where he did get disease and did not survive. Those are a little bit more hardcore, probably interesting for people to hear, to make him a little bit more realistic. But right now, he's a fantasy character we all love. But yeah, to destroy the world to do is a darkness that everybody to extent has. Doesn't mean it has to be at that level. But I took myself to the extreme. It's like as my real job through the I'll just call it through the Secret Service. I'll just call it that, or the British service. I saw that of people wanting to do that themselves. So is that in me? Also, do I have that within me? And how would that be stopped? So, so yeah.
So having this massive influence and being able to, in a sense, put people in positions in politics and to be able to help shape the world scene. Would you suggest that this is actually something that you were even channeling yourself?
Yes.
And if I can phrase it another way, and that is like in a sense,
Yes.
we're born into these positions and we have a certain script,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just how we feel about it while we navigate it that counts so much. The type of frequency of that which we obtain while we're exploring our continued experience as it unfolds.
Yes, it's the danger of humanity. Is like, can we push ourselves now? What I was channeling was other versions of Earth where these were things that were actually happening. But notice how it stopped in the novels here, which is still, I mean, that was the idea, is just to put a stop to all of these things, to take out water supplies, to, shoot missiles, destroy cities. The idea was to stop that on this Earth. But yes, it can be kind of, writing these things could be a lot. It's a lot. It's am I even doing this? Do I really want to go there? It might seem almost comical, cartoonish, but also devilish and just horrible at the same time. So it's channeling versions of Earth, human consciousness, the devil is here, and where can I go with that? And it was so unique for the time. It might seem cartoonish, and that's probably a good thing, just to not take it too seriously, which is something that you want.
So would you suggest like that actually we have a particular, even the spirit is a bit of a technology, And when we
Yes.
scream, it's because it's a bit like we've got the most advanced electronic chip inside of us, a bit like the Terminator.
Mhm, mhm.
That is actually us. A bit like it's maybe the part of the anatomy is called the superior brachium.
Yeah, for spirit, to give you my perspective, of course, everyone's perspective. I mean, everyone has their own way because they're human. So some people dial themselves down because they're human. Oh, I'm just a spirit being. I'm no big deal. But in spirit, you can create a world. You are creators. You might feel like you're not God, but you're part of the God consciousness. A world is a person, is an entity, and others join you with it. So I'm just gonna, in your spirit, I want to be a world. So that itself is a technology. You can say a planet is a technology, and all these other elements come into experience that with you. So it becomes a family. The trees, the water, even the air becomes part of a consciousness. I mean, I'm the world. You become the world. You are an essence of it, but other elements come in to join you. So people wonder where their families come from. It's like, yeah, it used to be a tree, it used to be the sky. You all used to be, a little bit of element of each other.
So when
So
we get attached into like, oh, I love the trees, I love the trees, oh, I love my
mm,
brother, I love my children, I love my business, I love my cake. The more that we get stuck into those experiences, the more that we get trapped into the matrix because we're putting
yes,
too much attention and gripping onto things to feel safe outside
yeah.
of ourselves rather than doing the inside journey.
Well, it's a thrill ride, as you can see. So it might not be the easiest thrill ride, but it is a thrill ride, especially those with no money whatsoever. That's a thrill ride. Those that are homeless, they usually find ways to connect to others. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. It's another way of seeing people for what they really are. Say, hey, look, I'm deteriorating. My teeth are terrible. I'm sick. Does anybody care? Hey, how's it going? Hey, look, these people care about who I am. They don't care about what I smell like, what I look like, or any of these things. That's major achievement there. That's stripping away everything. And a lot of people have difficult. Not everybody has to live that, but some souls feel like they have to do that. Eventually, I mean, if you really want to get to know yourself, that's one way of doing it. And once again, not everybody has to do that, but some souls, they have no choice. They sabotage themselves to get to that position. So,
Because we get
so
stuck and building this
mhm.
persona, and then that becomes so heavy that we sink with the ship.
Yeah, it's right now. The health situation. Many are losing their jobs, but that's removing from that idea that I doubt. The ideas that what they thought was secure, and now they're going more into themselves, which is a horror movie within many. But they do find it's another way of connecting to new people, though. It's always about new connections.
Okay, so you familiar with the Doctor Who novels, and
Yes, I'm very aware. Yes.
so the TARDIS is maybe I feel like it's an analogy for the human body, and when we are able to be present and accepting and allowing and not attached to all the things outside of us, we're able to time travel. But this means not having any relationships with anyone, being a complete and utter lone wolf, just like
Yes.
Doctor Who or the Zoroastrians. The Zoroastrians.
Mhm. Well, Doctor Who normally would be, yeah, by himself. He'd just be a loner. He's the ultimate loner. Imagine that, going through the universe by yourself, living in this just magnificent time traveling, apparatus, and just being alone. Doesn't want to share it with anyone. Some versions of who don't want to share with anyone. At least they give them marks. They're willing to show Doctor Who in different forms: female, male, old, young. They haven't done a child yet, which would be interesting. Maybe they have, but a
You
child would be really interesting.
did a very interesting Freudian slip there with he called Doctor Who, Doctor
Mm,
Hugh, because
yes,
he is a light man, right? We are light beings, and we all
yes,
have this capacity to time travel.
yes, yes, and that's where you're going into basically remembering your soul self. Yes, it's basically matter doesn't matter,
So
and
when,
yeah,
but
well, basically this thrill ride or the train that people are with, because people feel like it is going slow. Some people feel it's going fast, but whatever you would call this reality, it is, the physical is coming to an end where non-physical is reintroduced again and again and again. There'll still be physical, of course, but then you'll see this other aspect. And it might be fearful. Just non-physical will be very fearful, even if it's the friendliest energy in the universe. Somebody is, oh, just put me back on the physical Earth timeline, please.
So you could say maybe that it, like, we go in this loop, and it's like we
Mhm.
recognize the same peaks and troughs, the same rivets and divots, because it's a bit like an arpeggio or a song that goes round and round, or the frequency color wheel which goes around and around. Everything's these cycles, and yeah, they differ over the longevity of them, but they do come back around. And so when we get to the end of time, it's just the loop beginning again on the
Correct.
opportunity is
Correct.
that we can recognize ourselves and our body as the tuning fork, so
Yes.
that we can raise the octave and explore a different octave, a higher vibration within ourselves.
So yeah, that's the apocalypse of just of renewal. It's never really the end. It's just, yeah, the physical, where they have cataclysms, and it probably will happen eventually. Just like it had, in Egypt, to give an understanding of Egypt, like it went through cataclysms itself. Like there was floodings and of your ancient times. People, souls are given a choice to go into spirit to assist humanity. It's like you stay here in the physical or go into spirit. It's like one way of just clearing, doing a major clear out. And many souls chose to be, and they're still here today in spirit, assisting humanity. They call themselves spirit guides, angels, whatever it might be. So
So you say the Great Flood, it's a bit like what we have with the Great Conjunction coming into these air signs now for the next 200 years, where they haven't been for 800 years. And Aquarius is the water bringer, although an air sign.
mhm.
What it entails is that it's the communication of people who are aware of something, and they're able to trade and expand their gift of sharing information, but with the application of trading with other people. And so this makes a influential circle of people, or grid, or constellation of star beings that can make a circuit board, which is more powerful together than it was individually. And so this flood of consciousness has been maybe been asked to ignite, and but more so by the divisions that have been put into the rumors of people's concerns for their health over the past year. And so this is something that maybe will never go away, but only people can become aware of and choose to turn away from. How do you see this paradigm shift moving forward?
Well, I do see earth changes that you're not quite there, but will happen. Now, not to put fear out there, those of you that are like hearing this broadcast, or you already know yourself, so what is there to be truly, what is there? Now, humanity in the physical, now they will have fear, that believe, that all the spiritual work just, it's just against their against their religion, you could say. That's where the fear is, the fear of cataclysms and all that. Just they're terrified to see the spiritual self, because they have to open themselves up. You have to see, you have to be, because that's why so many souls get stuck here in a reincarnation cycle. They don't want to deal with who they are. They rather just stay here and not know it. So they make the same mistakes over and over again. Sometimes they do it deliberately, so they reincarnate, or in a world that's similar to this, like self-sabotage happens all the time. So
Yeah, it's so much more interesting to open up.
mhm,
It's so much
mhm,
more exciting and magical. And I don't mean
mhm,
to cast
mhm.
judgment or preference,
No,
but how would one, how can one, this is what art and music is for, isn't it? It's for the
yes,
demonstration of the philosophical joys, so it can
correct.
open people.
Correct. Yeah. Well, even in my life, I can write all these magical things, but my own physical self, I was still those vices. I could have lived a lot longer, a lot happier, but I was smoking and thinking this is fun, but it's actually hurting me more. So I regret a lot of that actually. Person at a time, I had to fit the part, and it did feel. But when you get older, your body just does not work the same. So even I did not have all the answers, even someone that can write like that.
Did
So
you go under any other names like Merlin?
something like that, yes. I did connect to his energy, yes. You say Merlin was Bond sometimes, or sometimes the villain. Actually, he saw himself as more Bond.
The 007.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to us being a media, it's a bit like you can run electricity through a potato.
Yes.
We're recognizing ourselves as spirits incarnated into the flesh.
Yes.
And we're bringing all angles of creation in. You could say that we are the central point in creation. This is why we're the elite. We are equal to the people who know how
Yes.
to
Right.
to run the
Yes.
world.
Right. Well, think of like your bodies. There are, who put it together. You don't have to look too deeply into that, but you just see your flesh. You see all of this. You're experiencing this with other beings that need this for their own experience. So some of you might feel, do I really need a physical body to experience? And to an extent, you're seeing the positives of it, but whose idea was this to begin with? I mean, there's different types of physical. There's physical where you can still leave your body easily, but this one's more confined, as you know. I mean, some of you are opening up more, but most of the population is not. So why is that? So there's the alien beings that help develop this body are telling you their own like insecurities, you can say. It's like, what's their story?
So the true aliens are within us.
Right.
That is us. That is
Right.
our nature to recognize ourselves so we don't feel so alienated. And maybe like the terminology extraterrestrial or inner terrestrial would be a much more complimentary term to recognize ourselves rather than exclude ourselves.
Well, you can say like for some reptilian races, they need a physical, like if some are like, if they're going to end their conflicts or beings in general, they do it on their terms. And that's kind of what's happening here. You're ending a conflict on their terms. Many of you, as a non-physical, is like, I can tell them what I want as a non-physical being, but they want me as a human and do the same things. Like, okay, fine. I'll incarnate, do the story.
So you could say so that when like a family come together and have a
Right.
meal,
Right.
or like the universe, they go together and they like to go to work their differences out. Each and every single one of us are the entirety of creation, and there's so many different angles and perspectives, and yet we've
Right.
come together because there was this agreement for the better good of all that we come
Right.
into unity. And this is us all holding hands, but still there's so much on the table. There's so
Yes.
much bickering that goes on at these scenarios. That's what we're playing in.
Well, first off, just for families to get together on a holiday is is it's like a miracle all on its own. First off, but to be in a body like this, yeah, it's, you can say your body is a holiday, even if it doesn't always feel that way. But that's all the beings coming together once again, and that's some get along, and it's like, why is my body fighting myself? Well, because the beings that help design it, you don't always get along with them. That has a lot to do with it.
Yes. So we've contracted certain different smart awarenesses, some of which would be really technologically advanced that they could build such a body, but others would bring the principles which could be included in that body. A bit like what we were discussing earlier with the AI and the organic ether, like they're two equals which are even the different elemental experiences which are within us and part of us and within this agreement.
Well, even like you create your own planets, you can do this, of course, on a different plane, but you can do it. and you're a planet, and then all of a sudden you have all these uninvited guests all of a sudden. So who invited these guys? It's like, oh, great. I'm going to be here for billions of years, and now I have to deal with this. So think about that. That's, I mean, people find being human difficult in like 100 years or so of your age. Like, think about a planet that's around for billions of years.
So then, well, basically, this is the graduation which we do here in this university, in this matrix, is that then we become the creator of matrices.
Yes. Yes. And you're this is one way for the university. It's like, think about, this is the universe getting to know each other in a body. It's like, if we're going to do this, it has to be physical. Non-physical, you guys can just zoom out of here with no problem. Nothing gets accomplished. But if you're in a physical, you're stuck here, at least in this physical body. So now you have to be part, and you agree to it. No one's making you sign anything. Or some feel like they didn't sign up, but that's another story.
So there's been a war on the physical body as well, because
Yes.
there is this part of the consciousness which self-sabotages, as we discussed. And so you could say, in reference, what they are attacking, what this part of self-sabotage which we do to ourselves is, we attack ourselves by having a gluttonous diet, because we've become hypnotized to think that that is what we need. Very much many of us have had to work with cleaning our gut health, and maybe still along that journey. But it's also of the mind. So these two areas where the pineal gland has been under attack, and of the gut, because they make us subservient, and they're our greatest defense systems, they're our greatest powers.
Well, some that are, I don't know who, some people that consume maybe the wrong types of foods, or depends on the person. They're doing it, sabotaging their gland for a reason, to be more human, to be part of the system for now, until they're ready to do a cleanse. But some people say, oh, my health can be so much better. That's true, but there's usually a reason why you are the way you are normally, for the frequency you're giving out. It just, it just so you can be relatable. It has many different layers to it.
Okay, so this is a good example. Like, some people might want to be able to help people on a certain level or tier of society or community, but you need to be able to work in an orphanage, for instance. You need to be able to be in the library, you need to be in the fire service, whatever it may be, so you can facilitate care to those around in those situations. And so, for instance, some of us might need to be obtaining a lower bandwidth frequency, so that's why one might unconsciously self-sabotage in certain areas so that they can hum at that frequency of those that they're here to help.
Yes, definitely. It's, yeah, everything is harmonics, everything is sound vibration. So this is why when you listen to music, some of you go into that music, turn into that music. That is a frequent, if you're attracted to a certain type of music, that is you. So that helps you find, it helps you throughout the duration of this incarnation to find the information, because you go to a point, it's like, what keeps you here until you find your end point? It's like your mission is to a certain timeline, and your end point, that's when you leave, you exit. But until then, what harmonics can you connect to? What people, and some people, this is why they find these lifetimes so frustrating. It's like, what am I here for? Sometimes you're here just to have a conversation with one person. It might be a 5-minute conversation, but you have to go through a whole duration of life, get to that person, say the information that you're here to say. I've done it. And you go back for, maybe connect to the family, and then you leave. Those are hard lifetimes.
So we are the messengers, we are the doers, we are the servicers. This is why I feel that we're the doctors of time, because we're cleaning up the manuscript where we might have spilt something on it or something, or we might have tripped over it or skipped that part in our contracts and prior experiences. And then we decided that we will plot ourselves back in on the moments where we were, so that we could align ourselves with the correct know-how by the time we got to that conversation.
Yeah, well, such as the family connections. Some of you can when you get to a certain age, you don't have to you go off and make it you do something with yourself, and you talk to your family every once now and then, and the connection's there, but you're doing your own thing, which is good. But some of you have your family always around, because there's a lot of healing to be done there, a lot of self-reflection. It's not always about you, a lot of times it's about them. So some of you are just healing your family vibrations. Like, yeah, you can be living somewhere else, across the world, but the family needs your vibration there at that time.
Because we're tuning crystals. Like this pineal gland is a crystal, so if we can maintain a certain frequency and demonstrate a certain way of going about ourselves, then that's really good for those people we've got karma to commit to.
Correct. Yes, those that want to open up their abilities and open up to higher dimensions, but they're with their family all the time, or their mother, or someone that just drives them crazy. It's like, you are using your power right now. Your power, people don't realize how strong they, because they're so drained by certain family members, it's hard to recognize your own power. That shows power there.
So what would you say the gifts and the struggles are going to be with the generation that are being born now, through this pandemic kind of veil blanket?
Well, that's interesting though, because your health situation is changing society. Some of these children that are being born, like they're like not even 1 years old yet, some of them are going to see all these systems and just rebel against all of it. Is what I see. Just be done with it. It's like we grew up with all the things we had to grow up with, system. No thanks. So it is actually doing something. You just haven't seen them yet. You're going to get stronger and stronger new generations of just having nothing to do with the programming of your society. So,
where would you say was the last? I mean, attachments take a while to purge, but would you say that this repulsive nature it was held from my generation, like Pluto and Scorpio, like the 1986? That's when I was. Or would you say that obviously we're still quite immersed within the situation? We grew up tantalized by the likes of Disney and Warner Brothers and things like that. And even the generation beneath us were very much immersed within all of these things, even though they may see things for what they are, the Pluto in Sagittarius. But these Pluto and Capricorns, they could be master heroes and master villains themselves, just like you.
Yes. Well, think of those that born in the year 2000. That's a big deal. It's like 2000 is like a future number. It's like a science fiction energy to it. So children of 2000 and children of beyond, going forward from that, are your galactic children. It shows already you're bringing a new energy. Also, you're lightening it. You're lightening, enlightenment to the heaviness that's here. That's been here since the 1950s and before. Every generation brings a lighter vibration. That's why so many creative people are going through a sexual identity crisis of they don't know what they are at this point. Taking a male, making it more female, taking a female, making it more masculine. So much confusion going there, but they're trying to figure it out, as you can see.
Yes. So this is a very interesting time for our interpersonal relationship with our own body and how we want to customize it. We even see, like in the East, there's been a lot more freedom through past generations with this, like, the likes of getting into the anime culture and such things like this, and expressing that with accessories. But this is actually going into the body more so in how we can decorate ourselves, which is kind of exciting. I wish in some ways I had the time and energy to decorate myself. Maybe it will be something which will become more accepted and explored. But this is something which is, again, adding persona. It's a freedom, but it's not going into the self-development. It's adding to the physical, isn't it?
Well, yes, your place is setting the stage for those that have time for it. For those that just want to paint themselves, see people painting themselves, coloring themselves. You don't have to do you don't have to do facial surgery. That's kind of ridiculous. I mean, it really does kind of mess with your vibration when you do that, depending on the person, but it's not necessary. But
Yeah,
I
I mean,
do see people paying themselves on.
even the tattoos. I've got a few tattoos, but looking back on things more consciously, our skin is such a sensitive part of our organ. It's the biggest organ in the body. And so we must be very conscious of what we're encrypting and who's doing that.
Yeah, it's at the time that tattoo was necessary. It still might be now, but yes, you've learned it was identify. You're done it. It's identify yourself. Those that have tattoos everywhere, they're showing. I've been here. I've been there. I've been all over the place. They want to share all their experiences with everyone. They just can't get enough of it.
It's really cool. My favorite analogy for tattoos was like it's a bookmark for that stage of my life.
Correct. And there's some that just put tattoos on their faces. Like I want everybody to see all the places I've been
I
to.
want to see all of the books that I've read have the list that you can
Yeah.
send that. I don't actually want that. It's just the
Well, those that lived a pretty amazing life want to share that with the Earth's vibration. But those that are coloring their hairs, changing blue, pinks, lighter vibration, usually it's a female doing it normally. It shows they're shifting vibration. So when now if you have to change your color, don't feel bad if you have to change it to normal, but it's like a blank, your body's a blank canvas basically. What are you going to do with it?
Yes, and this is the same for our reality as well. We could say like,
Right.
but we've got this certain labyrinth or marble runs which we're working with, but we are free to navigate once we realize uh, how we can show our empowerment, how we can explore ourselves here.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Well, born here. Just your job is about learning about yourself. Don't have to go to a 9 to 5, none of that. Just yes, be lazy. We encourage laziness, but it's not. It's like first off, you disconnect from reality. You just all the programs, just turn them all off. And then, who are you? Are you a sunflower now? Are you a elephant person? What is coming through you? That's what we see your future generations as. Yeah, it'd be a very strange place, but isn't that what you want?
So this is what we're getting back into. The more we can live a lifestyle that suits us, maybe working 4, 5, 6 hours a day doing something that we really enjoy, something which is artistic to us, like
Yeah.
instruments or art, or what
Mhm.
like what we're doing. We share a craft which we enjoy to do, and
Yes.
so these trades and labours, and also again how we choose to decorate our makeup, do our hair, what have you, dress our clothes,
Hmm.
this is the bit like wearing crystals or eating a good food because
Hmm.
it's really keeping the frequency at the opportunity to have it so high that we're magnetic so that our manifestations stream easily.
Right. Yes. It's well, you can say the jobs that are here, the 9 to 5, that's to kind of hold back the frequencies to a certain extent. Those that up their frequencies say goodbye job normally, or find a creative way. Yeah. Or find a creative venue.
Yeah, like they say that like a good acronym for the word job is just over broke,
Mhm.
and this it does break you down when you're working 9 to 5 because you've got no time to go into that creative frequency. You just hum real low. When you do get home, all you want to do is scoff and fill yourself some food and watch some TV programming.
Well, that at that time, from what I can see, was necessary because humanity wasn't always. It's like what you're bringing in is a new library of information, very difficult to digest. So, if people are now looking into this, the still but go back to the TV because it's a balance. They find spirituality, then they go back to the streaming services or what's the entertainment of the day. Nothing wrong with that.
No,
Because you're going to spiritual, the world's not fully ready for full spirituality. It is getting there. Some of you, if you have the time, can bring it full, but some of you have to be physical still. So you watch the televisions, what you need to be at that frequency, what the world needs you at that moment. So this is why these streaming services are there. It's like, yeah, I'm dabbling into spirituality, but I still have to pay the bills. So I need to still be the modern human, you can say.
So keeping up with the new economy and as the great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter took place on the winter solstice, as I say, it's not, they meet every 20 years, but also this was the first time in 800 years. We just had the pile up of Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter and Capricorn. As we have seen, this is a different world. And so our values and our principles are coming all together collectively on a different ratio, because we have so much more compassion as well as so much more division in the world. And yet we are not looking for, in a sense, physicality like Rolexes and cars so much.
Yeah.
We're looking more into what can give us more awareness, more wisdom, more depth, and even emotional connection to ourselves and others, to prove that we're not alone and we can be recognized. How is this going to change our world, and how can we see? This is two questions, separate conversations. So
Well,
first, yeah, after the first, how are we going to see this changes our world and the type of leaders which we instate?
well, right now you're seeing what you want to bring into reality first. This is why you are in the location you are at this time. You're setting the stage for the future. Humanity on a whole is not sure they're really ready for that future just yet. It's like you have a flying car, and humanity says this bike is just good enough. So that's that's what's happening. You're here. Here's a high vibrational frequency you can be on. Here's a highway. Man, it's like, well, I'm still over. I still live in the Bronx or something like that. So we do see people in the higher frequencies. Yeah, people will start smelling like strawberries, raisins, smell like a tree. Right, you have this tree energy, right? Well, I've been talking to the trees recently. Or you smell, you have this bird vibration, or people look at you and you see a shape shift into a bird. It's like, that's a frequency that you're slowly bringing in. So because you're in the year 2000, it's as the 2000s get stronger, spirituality will be stronger with it also. So there is a timeline for as what you're doing. Not exactly where it's going, but they have a pretty good idea.
So you're saying that we can recognize the matter outside as a buffet for the frequencies that which we can attune ourselves to, and
Yes.
that the tree or the animals. And so
yes, you see your origins. It's like, wow, that person just turned into a bird. It's like, wow, Egypt all over again now.
and we are the originals. We are
Yes.
those are our origins. They are the original archetypes. And so
Right.
just returning back to our abilities, returning back to our memoirs.
Yeah, and you're not always, people aren't showing it now because some people will see it, but most aren't going to see it for various reasons. But that's the frequency you're turning into, though.
What we're going to do with regards to the unfinished business of discovering the tyranny in human trafficking, because everybody knows the banks are corrupt and everybody knows about this, all the missing children, but nobody really wants to bring it much to the forefront. But it is being carried out more and more as in a sense, cultural phenomenon that is slightly underground, but also very accessible for those who dare to adventure or to become aware of.
Yeah, a lot of your child actresses are a part of it that you know it. They had no idea. It's been hidden very well. London is a main source of making it happen. One of them, as the only one that's speaking at this time.
But speaking out, like the actresses who are maybe like 12 years old right now, and they work within the systems, they're self-organizing, and they're going to come out about this.
Some have no idea that they're a part of it. Shirley Temple was a part of it. She didn't even know it.
So you can even say actually that some of us may have actually already been a part of it. Many people within society have been a part of it, but it's so traumatic, and they actually use hypnotism that we get placed right back without even knowing it's happened.
Yeah, even the parents are set up. Everything is set up through human traffic a soul, basically. Doesn't have to have suppression. You can just have control. You don't have to suppress them mentally. You just control what the soul is going to go through. Tap into younger audiences.
Okay, so a bit like we each have these scripts written for the soul, which is trafficked. Like I will show up, and because of my character, I might say something about astrology to someone, but that really changes their life, and then they go and become an astrologer, or they go into a deep depression, for example. I don't hope that
Yes.
that the latter doesn't happen, but we do things so unconsciously because we just show up being ourselves, but it's in a sense set up, and we have and for instance, how this can be facilitated might be that there could be an agent that steps in just to ensure that we show up for that appointment. Or because we're known so well, they know that we're going to go to that gathering because we couldn't say no, because it's our persona which has been overlooked by like a Men in Black style operative.
Well, yeah, so a lot of souls, they get pulled into to find human trafficking, to find their own identity. They've been trafficked so long, they've been so lost, they don't know who they are anymore. But that's, to them, that's their normal. All of that's their normal. And some whistleblowers that come in and speak up about it, that necessarily were involved with, but they know about it. And then they live like a tragic life. They die unexpected because they did their purpose. But yes, it's very disturbing because they're talking about disturbing things. And those that are doing it usually stay alive because they're feeding off that low vibration still. So, but yes, it is slowly unraveling. It's a tricky business, as you know.
Yes, like in a sense, this is being considered like a hellacious realm.
Yes.
And this is because it's where we see that we are purging all of our shadows. And so this is a process. And yet,
Or many of them don't even have chakras. I mean, they do, but they've been blackened, as you said.
and so just to close on the subject and bring it back into a higher vibrational frequency, it's like, okay, this may be going on and it may continue to go on because it's such a thick and heavy trough of muck for us to become aware of. Some people just aren't interested, which is fair enough, and it's not their path to be interested. But the point is that we can actually recognize that it is actually a war on the pineal gland. So
Yes.
we are actually the diamond carriers. We are the crystal babies. It's about just going in and recognizing, goodness gracious gosh, I'm Christ consciousness, baby, and I've got a body. Do you know how long that they wait to queue up for these things? Bloody long time. Round the block, I heard. But I'm not a blockhead. I'm an influential sphere of being. So when we get into that high vibrational frequency, that stuff can't touch us. Is this what would be considered creating our reality?
Yes, what you're connected to is fairy energy, what you were doing right there, or Garthian energy. So, but yes, you're bringing that vibration, but you also know that humanity has to follow the path that they signed up for. Even for the dark beings that are here, there's a healing process for the beings that are doing this. They are being healed. It's slow. That's why it has not been fully revealed. They have not fully been healed. So you're not just healing the children, but those that are those that are enslaving them. So
yeah,
that's a lot of healing there.
So the people, for instance, like a parent, they may have living a modern lifestyle with their children today, and yet there's been some kind of abuse within the family or scandal or some situation which people becoming more conscious of and healing in their own time. But it's both for the child and for the parent and for the abuser. The whole cycle is a healing cycle.
Yes, correct.
Of forgiveness.
Yes, it's those that are causing difficulties here at human trafficking. A lot of them aren't human, alien, but a lot of them is artificial intelligence also. It's a little bit of everything. So there's a demonic energy here that has not been healed, that doesn't want to be healed. But that's why you have the parents, families that you do. So you are trying to heal that vibration that connects to that source. This is why you have difficult families and abusive families, because that connects to the source that's causing it to begin with. So,
well, I see it to be conducive to this whole story of the creating your vision in detail scenario, because it was actually the pandemic scenario took place originally a year ago, And that's when we had Saturn ingress into Aquarius, which is the sign that is harmonic with the calf muscles, the central nervous system, and the pineal gland, because it's the timeless part outside of ourselves where we come from. We come from outside of this 3D physical realm into it. It's a paradox, I know, because we go within to get out of it. And so when we recognize that there's the suppression on this, and this is through all the folklore from the Pied Piper to all the way to the Venus creation myth, which was actually about Venus coming from the chandelier, the sky god Uranus. And so this was actually the creation of the inner feminine energy, or how it's retold in a very disempowering way, to have this Aphrodite without arms be born from the testicles of Uranus. That's not exactly a empowering narrative to insert into the consciousness, just like how having a sneeze is actually means you've got the plague. That's not something interesting to alter about our collective awareness. And so but through truth, through connection, through Aquarian deliverance and narration of what we can be aware of about the anatomy, about all of these things that have happened beyond the consensus awareness of history, we can recognize that actually, yeah, we are the bank. We've got the jewels. It's all within us. We've got the crown. We've got the temple. We've got the spaceship. This is really like we are the greatest magicians and wizards and witches, equipped with all of the different regalia that we could possibly need. We've got it all. And so in recognizing this and making this a narrative and spreading this about through our platforms, through our awarenesses, through our continued relationship that we develop with ourselves, we are truly healing these timelines.
Yes, of course. A lot of this occurred, yes, during your Roman time frame of human trafficking. Just look at the mythology of it. Some of it happened during ancient Greece, the darker side of Greece, but mostly your ancient Rome. So it's been around ever since. Some would say it happened sooner, of course, in some areas, but Rome really kicked it off to another direction. And your religion's kept a lot of it quiet, of course. So this is not something it's just more organized in this reality, so more hidden.
A three-pronged attack from like the Vatican, Rome, and then the capital of the finance, London, and then the war kind of programming and control system of commerce from the United States.
Yes, war is there to keep it hidden. A lot of the wars are human trafficking connected.
So when you get places like where I am, and it's one of the only places in the world which isn't closed down because of the drug cartel. And that's synonymous with why we go to where many wars are pitched in the first place as well, right?
Right.
What do you think the likelihood of things being open in places like Mexico for long? Do you reckon they'll actually close down in other parts of the world, or there'll always be these kind of free states?
Oh, there'll be free states. Around your summer, there'll be a lot of openings. Not everywhere. London's probably going to stay shut down to a certain extent. Certain city centers are going to torture the people, mentally at least. But
I had a client who lives in Seattle, and that she said that even like some of the town buildings are boarded up, like Silent Hill, Resident Evil stuff.
Yeah,
that's not kind of good for the mental health to see these kinds of things.
No, but it's even worse when you open up places and other places are shut down. Other places are open and everybody's having fun and don't have to wear anything, and the others are shut down. Wood everywhere on the walls and everything. So
yeah, like I had bumped into a guy here from Las Vegas who was just here for a week, and he said he had a mask on completely, and I was just talking to him out in the street, and he said it's just quite a little bit confusing. Because he'd obviously been under a certain bandwidth or frequency for maybe quite some months. It was quite confusing just to have a normal open conversation with someone like that.
That's correct. Yeah, humans are being rewired, as you can see. It is an AI technology involved with that. They're showing how to do it better, but it is falling apart. They can only do it so long. That's why corruption in governments are being shown. It's like, you've gone too far. It's time to exit. It's time to change. So
govern the mental, govern the mind. This is the
yeah,
governments for us. And
right.
so we are here to establish the opportunity to leave these systems that don't serve us. And this is the really beneficial opportunity to see that we can thrive much better in other scenarios.
Yes, exactly. So,
Okay, so I had a couple of other questions. Let me just see if I can go back into that.
yes.
I really would like to just recognize the vibrational frequency healing which we're doing on ourselves.
Mhm.
It's going to thing that we're claiming back things like the airlines because we're recognizing that we can do things like that. And these things have been bailed out by the governments for so long. And we can actually own the airlines, which means we can replot the navigational routes that they fly, maybe. And in doing so, we can see the cosmology from different perspectives and maybe recognize that there's many other lands within the Antarctic Circle and outer, beyond, and around that. What do you conceive for this? Not just Earth changes, like how we might envision land rising from the ocean, but land that's already there, but uncharted on the maps.
Well, yeah, land, well, we see a lot of land going into the ocean. Yes, the new places coming out. Yes, the ones that are going into the ocean, the obviously those vibrations are no longer needed. Such as California is having some landslides. I don't think they're going to have a major one, but they have a landslide every once in a while because the vibration is no longer there. So in some ways, California is deteriorating a little bit, not entirely. But yeah, at some point, it's just the vibration is just no longer there. The purpose of that timeline for that land to be there is now gone. So then the land just vaporizes. And new timelines come in, such as the oceans or new lands rising. So it's all timeline frequency.
One of the things that originally got me on this path, which has been such a healing journey for me and made me develop so many different skill sets, was my interest in cosmology, was my interest in the inner earth. And you mentioned that you felt my frequency when I go in and I managed to go in and really help pump up a higher vibration. That was more like a Garthan race. Or
Yes.
can we talk about these roots just for a moment in closing and maybe see how in the recognition of these spiritual planes, these inner vibrational densities, how we can maybe experience them more.
Well, you come in from the elf collective. You're bringing that knowledge through into reality. Even your location where you live, you're brought there because they need your frequency. So yeah, singing it doesn't mean you have to go sing and dance everywhere, but you are bringing that vibration to help people remember who they came from. And there is other elf people here. There's Algarthian people everywhere. They don't always just don't get too much attention. A lot of them are around the pubs. There's a lot of elf people that are very short around the pubs, of course. But yeah, you bring in a frequency of dragon for people to recognize the fire within themselves. So yes, if you start talking more Agarthian, you already are talking Agarthian, but we see you doing other languages too that are not human, and even Agarthian beings appearing around you, such as unicorns, things of that kind. So yes, you are one of many to unlock that timeline. So people will start recognizing it more. But Agartha will become because Agartha never left. It's been here. The tree people are here, and it's just becoming more recognized. That's all.
So these elementals, we're actually the fruits of the trees, human
Correct.
beings. We're the keepers of our garden.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this relationship which we re-remember, which allows us to get greater clarity on the crystalline nature of our consciousness.
Yes. It's just finding your foundations. What are you, ready for? And that apple will appear and open itself up. Reality will, it's just humans are just saying, no, I'm not ready. I don't want this. So they easily shut it down. But many of you is like, oh, but wait, there's more. So more of that medieval energy is coming into society and they have no idea. Even London itself is very medieval.
Yes.
It's like a portal all on its own, as you know.
So You say that you were very clearly bringing in the good and the evil, which is
Hmm.
natural and healthy, and
Yes.
to suppress that wouldn't be. Because the more that one
No.
expands, the more that a circle expands, the more the yin,
Correct.
the more the yang, the more the light, the more the dark, the more the heavy, and the more spiritual. So the full
Correct.
physical as well we get.
Correct. Yeah. The more you recognize yourself, the more you can heal yourself. It's
So the
very
more
simple but difficult to find. It's a forest in there.
the dark forest.
Yes, of course. So
And so they say that the fruit actually, in a sense, has actually, if it's too sweet, it's rotten from the inside out. And so we must recognize that actually it's about having this polarity and being able to dance between the both that can really be the most healthy. And
yes.
would you say that you were a leading example of this?
Not the leader, but a promoter of it. Actually, Sherlock Holmes was more like the leader of creativity. He inspired many to do their own creations, their own version of a hero and a villain. So,
And so would you even suggest that the modern social media templates like YouTube, like the TikTok, like the Instagrams, they are fashioned to shoehorn us into recognizing how we can create media, even if they are sometimes within entrapment. Again, as we mentioned, they can be a practice for tapping into our own inspiration.
yes, it's something that is, well, yes, because it's a shadow into yourself. It's a window into who you are. Yes.
Very cool.
So, all right.
Cool. And so when we channel these artistic ideas, when we channel and you use this skill set which you've developed, and when you channel your novels, when we do all of these things, that's coming through this crystal, this diamond conscious awareness at the center of our brain. And so this recognition that it is actually under suppression, we're not in a sense always stimulated to develop our creativity by people that want, or by entities or corporations that want us to consume. We could see that actually we are the great creators, and the more that we create, the healthier we are. And we obviously it's okay to consume a little as long as we create a little bit more. Would you suggest that's good, healthy way to
Well,
live?
not everybody's here to create. When you create your own reality by being around people, you don't have to necessarily be a artist. Just sharing your personality, sharing your person is really all that matters. So you still consume and create. Just creation is just being, you can say.
Beingness is a frequency in itself. That's a craft.
Right. Yeah. That is, it's like a musical instrument. Can you play yourself around people? Maneuver around other people. Not as easy as it sounds, isn't it?
No, we are the pitchforks for one another and for the earth. And so as we tune into ourselves, this is how we manage to do the work and recognize where we've got the duff notes and attune ourselves to the higher frequencies.
Yes, definitely. So,
Well, thank you so much for
yes.
sharing your energy today. It's been very insightful and very intriguing. Thank you so much, Ian Fleming, coming through for us today.
Yes. Thank you for having me here. Sending you energies into your next novel, your next chapter of your lives. Blessings.
You are deeply appreciated.
All right. Greetings. All right.
How does that feel? Is that exhausting? Like carrying that
Yeah, I
energy?
got kind of heavy at the end. Yeah. It was getting kind of, yeah, it was getting worn out. So, yeah. But we're
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Well, we thank you for your contributions because we recognise how that is, and we're really excited for the conversation. It was really good stuff.
Yeah, it's very good. Yep. I could feel it. I don't know what we talked about. I can't remember, but it's all right. Some of it will come back to me. So,
Yes, I shall be excited to watch this back. But we are going to stream this on both our channels. So how can people from my channel, Unifying Perspectives, find you on your channel? I mean, we will link it in the description box below. But if you can articulate that, that would be fantastic.
yeah, just on YouTube, just Ivan Teller. Just search that. I'm usually the first one. I don't think there's any others out there, as far as I know. And or ivanteller.com. I have a link to everything there also. So
You do private sessions and all sorts of things, and people can check that out through your website.
yeah, sessions or You have a shop there where you can get audio file. Takes a little bit longer to get that, but it's a low cost, so it takes a little bit. But
if you're interested in learning how to channel and to check in with your own work, this is a good process, and you're a really good source of information. So thank you. For your audience, I'm an astrologer. I do offer consultations and facilitate astrological mentorship program as well. If that's something you're interested in, you can email unityaroundthecorner@hotmail.com. But check out my channel. I've got a couple of other interviews with Ivan, as well as a load of other astrologers and spiritual leaders. That's Unifying Perspectives on YouTube. But thank you for watching. Thank you, Ivan, for your great energy. You're fantastic.
Thank you for having me here. Yeah.
It's a pleasure. Awesome. Enjoy your moments. Cheerio.